Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Messages. This is part 2 of the money series. And what I will say about this is this could be the most crucial episode of this series. So if there's any episode that you really pay attention to, and dare I say even make notes, make reminders, like really allow this episode to sink in, because the pieces of this will change your relationship with money forever. So without further ado, today we are covering the topic of scarcity. And I would describe this as being probably the cardinal money sin that almost every human deals with. Okay, so scarcity takes many forms, but I'm really going to focus on money scarcity. Obviously, because money is the series that we're in right now. But yes, there are different forms of scarcity, right? So any type of shortage is scarcity. If you believe that there is any lack, deficit, or shortage of anything, that is scarcity consciousness, and it does not matter what it's about. Before I really start to unpack this, I want to remind you all that I am doing another module of Money Magic at the end of this month. It is a good one, and I want to let all of you know that between December of 2021 and January of 2022, I doubled my income that month. So we are going to be talking a lot about time. So shortening the amount of time in which you receive money is a big thing that I have been aligning myself to and really diving deep on lately. So if that interests you, more money, less time, more money, less energy, more money, less work, more money, feeling better, expansion all around, all things money, that is my energy. And personally, when it comes to money, there is very much a subtext of energetics being the most crucial piece of all things related to money. So once again, we're dealing with something that is not objective. So when we're talking about money, a lot of people like to get into objectivity. Fortunately, for all of us, money is energetic. And so I'm really stoked for everyone who's already in Money Magic. I think there's 36 people who are already in Money Magic. And so if you want to join us, the link will be in the description box. It will be in the show notes wherever you're listening to this. You can also find it in the link in my bio on Instagram or TikTok, wherever you like to follow me. And it's going to be a good one. The other thing that I want to mention, because I have been asked this, yes, you get all of the previous content instantly. So all of the modules and the Q&As that I've done, you get instant access to all of those, and you get the new module, and you get any future modules that I add to it. So this is the only container that I have that grows over time, and it's the only container where it's literally growing your investment. So at any point you buy into the program, there is going to be more and more modules that come, and every time I add a module, I increase the price. So right now, Money Magic is $444, and it's going to be going up in price in April. So get in March if you've been on the fence, if it's something that you're feeling a strong pull towards. This is my most popular program. It is highly effective. People love it. Love it. And I get the comment all the time that Money Magic ends up affecting more than just their money. So even though the context of everything and the discussion is always going to be surrounding money, people use it for other things. I've had people use it for relationships and their health and weight loss. Like, I've seen people use Money Magic, the concepts inside, for so many other things. So it is without a doubt one of my most favorite creations and one of my most favorite topics to cover. So come join us if you feel the nudge, if you feel like, yes, I want that. Jump inside, and I will see you all so soon. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the meat and potatoes of scarcity. I want to take us back to A series that I did a couple of years ago, I did a shadow series on the podcast. And this is really where I really unpacked the origins of evil, or what we perceive as being evil. And one of the things that I describe in that is that this has nothing to do with there being a source of evil. That's not a thing. The only thing that can happen is getting really far away from God, or getting really far away from the light. It's not that light stops or ceases to exist, or that there's a source of darkness. Think about a literal light, or think about the sun. The sun never stops being bright, and just because we experience nighttime doesn't mean that the sun doesn't exist anymore. The sun is always there. The sun is always at work. The sun is always present. However, if you block the sun, then you can experience what you perceive as the absence of the sun. But that's not an accurate perception. You are blocking the sun, but the sun has not gone anywhere. So when it comes to money, the same rules apply. There is never a shortage of money. So as I've mentioned, I believe in the last episode of this series, I talk about if there was X amount of resources and that's it. If resources didn't expand, then the finances of Earth, the currency of Earth, would just be more and more and more distributed among people. And because the population increases, and with the population increase that we've experienced historically, there would be less money distributed between more people. But that's not how it's shaken out. And the reason for that is because there isn't a finite amount of money that exists. That's not a thing. So when people say money is the root of all evil, that could not be more wrong. Money goes to wherever it's an energetic match for. That's how money works. Money just goes to wherever it is most complementary energetically. Scarcity, on the other hand, I would say a more accurate statement is scarcity is the root of all evil. I can actually get more behind that, even though it's technically not a root. Again, it's the absence of that makes us perceive evil. So when you're watching these large corporations open up sweatshops so that they can save a dime, that's a scarcity move. If you think I need to abuse others in order to cut costs, and that's the only way I can be prosperous, that's scarcity consciousness. That is not abundance consciousness. So don't conflate these things. This is where people get really confused. They view people who are misaligned, who are an energetic match for money, but who are perhaps misaligned in how they execute things, and then they add money into the mix and then think money has something to do with that. And none of those things are separate. Ethically running a corporation, being an energetic match for money, and personal alignment are three completely separate things. The money and the alignment piece can be intertwined, but they're not always. You can be misaligned, but be a really good energetic match for money. All things are possible. So the thing that trips people up when it comes to money is introducing things that contradict abundance. So if you say, oh, it would be really nice to have an extra $10,000, but you've already fucked up. As soon as you say but, you're done. Don't even bother going any further because you're already making a case for scarcity instead of abundance. And the thing is, if scarcity were the truth, rich people wouldn't exist. If poverty were the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality of what's possible, then prosperity wouldn't exist. So when it comes to scarcity, it is really, really simple. Are you making a case for abundance, or are you making a case for something that contradicts abundance? And I can tell you the word that will reveal to you whether or not you're in alignment with abundance or not is the word but. I want it, but. I want it, but it's expensive. I want it, but I don't know how the money is going to get to me. I want it, but. I want it, but. That would be nice, but. I would love to have that, but. The but statements are what reveals it all. It is a tell-all on whether or not you're in abundance consciousness or scarcity consciousness. So many of you who are listening to this, because this is a very human pattern that people have, and this is why I say scarcity consciousness is like the cardinal money sin that humans have, is you desire and then immediately cut yourself off by saying but, or I don't have it, or I'm never going to have it, or that seems rare, or that seems difficult to come by, or the economy is bad, or people like me can't have that. There's infinite stories that you can make a case for why you can't do something and you can't have something and why the money won't come and a whole host of other things. But the question that is worth asking yourself is that what you want? Is that what you want to construct? Do you want to not have the money for it? Do you want to be an energetic match for not having the money and not getting the stuff and not having the things? And not seeing the money anywhere. The majority of the time, people are just not used to looking for abundance, but they are very practiced at looking for scarcity, looking for blockages, looking for problems, looking for shortage. You hunt for it. Here, let me show you all of these spreadsheets. Let me bust out Excel and start making this case for why this isn't financially possible. What I can tell you right now is that scarcity is a liar. Scarcity is the absence of God. Why would I listen to the absence of God? If you looked at my bank account in like early December 2021 and I told you that I'm going to get this house, you would laugh in my face. You would have said, yeah, right, that's a pipe dream. Haha, that's so funny. And yet, 5-6 weeks later, I cut a check for this house. Things can change rapidly when you're able to disconnect yourself from whatever story you're running about why you can't. It's really, really wise to not get so warm and cozy with stories about scarcity and stories about problems and the mental math that you like to do about forecasting shortage. The farther away and the more separation you create between yourself and the stories of scarcity and the stories of limitation, the better off you will be, period. And I'm not even going to get into positive mantras and positive mindset and tapping into the flow of overflowing abundance. That takes a minute. That takes some time to really cultivate those feelings when you're used to scarcity, when it's almost a compulsive posture that you take financially. I understand how ingrained all of this can be. I completely get it. It's really easy to make a case for limitations. Really, they are compelling. In the vast majority of cases, scarcity a lot of the time is rational. It has a very logical outfit on. However, it's not logical if you look at energetics. Because what you are an energetic match for, what you're available for, and a temporary snapshot of your bank account are not the same thing. They're just not. They have nothing to do with each other. And this is why I remind people all the time, you need to be careful with the mental math that you're doing, because it is distracting you from your desires and it's distracting you from what you want to become an energetic match for. Because if you continually look at the past, look at other people's experiences, watch the fucking news, if you are doing these things, it is going to knock you off balance so fast. And dare I say, even looking at your own bank account has the ability to become a distraction. Now, I am not a fan of avoiding important things or avoiding bills or taking, having an avoidant attachment style to money. I don't recommend that at all, right? That has more to do with nervous system work than anything else. But at a certain point, when it comes to money and when it comes to scarcity, you have to make a decision on whether or not you are going to double down on abundance or double down on scarcity. Without the awareness of what you're focusing on and what you're talking about and what you're mentally rehearsing, if you don't have your attention on what's happening in your mind and in your emotions, you're going to have a really hard time shifting out of scarcity. Because once again, the question that I would present to any story that you're telling me about scarcity is, do you want that? If you don't want it, then shut your mouth and pick something else. And when I say pick something else, this could mean a whole bunch of different things. And like I said, as I always say, do not attempt to do a 180. Don't go from, I'm terrified I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, into, this is my $1 million year, or I'm going to win the lottery. That's not going to make you feel good either. So if you are in a space where you're in a lot of gridlock and habitual thought that is scarcity storytelling, aim at neutrality first. And when we're talking about neutrality, I would just make it really simple. The only thing that needs to be done is you need to stop making a case for a problem. Stop making a case for why it's impossible. Or whatever story you have going on, at least shift away from the story. That's it. Just catch yourself before you start saying a whole bunch of things that are contradicting abundance. You could also see it as introducing scarcity or introducing a problem. If you can just not introduce a problem, you will be in a completely different position. Just try it for a month. I'm not going to introduce a financial limitation to this thing that I want. Just don't introduce it. Just let yourself freely want with no bullshit and see what happens. I just want this thing, that's it. I'm leaving it alone. Don't say anything else. I don't need to hear about your current bank account. I don't need to hear about anything else. If you do not want it to be created, shh. Quiet. Enough of that. Just stop. You don't need to do anything. Just stop. And if you do start talking about a lot of scarcity things and how there's not enough, no matter how compelling, this is the trick. It does not matter how compelling your bank account looks or how compelling those bills look. It does not matter. You have to energetically learn to override that, and at the very least, make a little bit of space for something different. If you are cluttering the flow of abundance, the presence of God, the light that shines down upon you, if you are cluttering all of that with a story that you don't even want, nothing better can show up. The reason why the concept of not enough is a crock is because you're a creator. So if you accept the premise that you're a creative being, then scarcity doesn't exist because you're creating. That's also why there's millionaires that are constantly emerging, people becoming wealthier. Of course, the stories of people doing well and the people rising out of poverty and the people who are shifting their experience with money, those aren't terrifying enough headlines. So you will never see them on, any channels that just endlessly stream fear and scarcity porn. CNN will never tell you all of the wonderful things that are happening here on Earth. And when you lose sight of the fact that you are a creator, when you lose sight of the fact that you're an extension of God, when you forget all of that and you're just plugging in to any scarcity program that is sitting in front of you, whatever that may be, you drop your creatorship, feel out of control, and block out the sun. And it's not needed. This is why the big thing that I just want to bring to you here is just drop the story. You don't even need to do anything major in order to override this. Just stop telling the story. You don't even need to construct a new story. Just drop the one that is scaring you, and you'll see things improve. If you can just pump the brakes, just slow down, put it on a shelf, ignore it for more time. Because a lot of the time, it is nothing more than a repetitive thought that you can't actually solve anyway. So leave it alone. Stop scaring yourself and see what happens. Just try it out. As an exercise, you can pretend that I'm in the room with you. And as soon as you start telling me about your bank account or some reality that you're experiencing, imagine that I ask you, okay, do you want that? Do you want that? No? Okay. I recommend you zip it. Shut your mouth about the problem. You just there is really nothing more complex that you want to add to the equation if you're in a scarcity spiral. I believe I've given this example in a previous episode, but I want to bring it back again because it applies here. I want to ask all of you, do you know any drug addicts who talk about how bad the economy is so they can't get their fix? Anyone? Does anyone know any drug addicts who are really in scarcity consciousness and can't get their drugs? Are they in scarcity about their drugs? Ever? I personally have never, ever, ever, ever seen a drug addict not be able to get high. And the interesting thing is, do you really think that you're on a planet that has more drugs available and more ways to get high? But no, money's completely off limits. All those drug addicts, they can find ways to get money, or they can find ways to get high, or they can do their thing. But money, no. Money is the one thing that you can't get. That's not true. That's not true. The reason why drug addicts are able to always get their fix is because they exclusively focus on getting their fix. They don't spend time thinking about shortage. They don't spend any of their energy coming up with problems. They only focus on solutions, how to get it, when to get it next, how to set up a meeting with their dealer, how to come up with cash, blah, 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 blah. They are exclusively dedicated to getting what they want. That's why they're always able to get it. I do not know an addict that is not able to get their drug. I can't name one. So if there is any wisdom that you take from the addicts of Earth, it is how singularly focused they are and committed to getting what they want. And the thing is, if you took some of that wisdom and applied it to money, oh boy, would your life change if you just hounded your focus on money the way a drug addict commits to getting their drugs. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, yeah, but a lot of them are like prostituting themselves and robbing people at gunpoint. And there you go again with the scarcity. Once again, making a case right now as I'm giving you this fantastic example. I know there are some of you that are already saying, yeah, but they blah, blah, blah. As if that has any relevance at all whatsoever to this example. The point is, drug addicts aren't out here complaining about the economy. And they're certainly not questioning whether or not they can come up with money to get whatever it is that they want. They just don't. They just know that they're going to make it happen. That's all that they need to know. So interestingly enough, the addict is the perfect example of someone who can easily abandon scarcity consciousness around their desire. And of course, I think that the methods and intentions of a lot of addicts are all out of whack because people who are in addiction are obviously not in alignment with their highest expression, the highest aspect of themselves, of course. But the principle applies all the same. When you abandon the story of limitation and scarcity and endless problems, it allows things to come in so much faster and so much easier. So, in summary, the basis of this episode, let me just break it down. Want what you want, but shut up about it if you're going to fall into scarcity. Just want, but shut up. That's if you're in a scarcity pit hole, just start there. The second thing, the sun is always shining. It is always present. Money is always present. The idea that there's a shortage or not enough is a calcified thought form that came from humans. It is just a program that humans came up with for whatever reason to add to the spice of life, I suppose. And it's an indication that you're disconnected from God, you're disconnected from your soul, and that is not the direction that you want to be pointed. But by no means is scarcity the ultimate truth. Shortage and not enough is not a thing. So I really want to make that clear. And the last thing that I want to mention is if you do not want to bring the story to life, don't tell the story. That's it. So this is your scarcity toolkit. And notice that I'm not implying that you should be adding a lot of stuff. A lot of the time, people have a tendency to overdo, but if you don't address the underlying energetics of scarcity, it's going to be very difficult to apply more technical tools and skills on top of a crappy foundation. So when it comes to really intense scarcity, I would say less is more. Really lean into less is more. Talk less. Tell fewer stories about this. Like, it's just about dropping things and not necessarily introducing a whole bunch of stuff, because that can have a tendency to backfire if you're not careful. And one more piece, be good to your nervous systems, people. Treat them well, baby them, nurture them, be good to them. You know how I feel about this. It's very important, and it absolutely plays a role in money. So a lot of the time you're thinking things that trigger a nervous system response, and then you have to come down off of that. So just stay ahead of it and practice regulating your nervous system, please. It will make your life a lot easier. And then you get to shift into all the fun money stuff. Okay, but for the time being, let's just say drop the stories, chill out, and go slow with this. Pace yourself. Just stabilize yourself with this, okay? So I hope this episode has been helpful. Once again, if you are not in money magic, but you are feeling the call to have a magical experience with money, a magical life with money, I am creating the most epic module ever, and I highly recommend that you jump in. The price will be going up in April. So jump in, jump in, jump in. I will see you so soon. I love you all. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye-bye. See you later.